We give praise, glory, honor, blessings to the mighty, terrible, and Kadesh name of Yahuwah of hosts, our Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, our master this day. And I said, Yeshayahu, Isaiah 34 and 16. Because I was just talking about this here, and I know that a lot of y'all got a lot of stuff going on in your day-to-day lives and things of this nature. But just because this matter has been brought up lately, I beseech all of you, and you can get Acts 17 and 11 after that 1 John 5. Most High willing, I remember the exact order that I mentioned it in. But I beseech all of you. I wouldn't care if it wasn't nothing but for a half an hour a day, at the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? That you take the time to crack the book open and read it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just sit around and wait for Wednesdays. Don't wait for the Shabbats, you know what I'm saying? And also to notice here too, man, I done told y'all this before, it's not a big deal. Man, you could crack open the book, and man, if I ain't got nothing going on, you could call me. I will go over it with you. Some of y'all know I done did this before. Because at the end of the day, the key thing is for you to understand the reading. You understand what I'm saying? It's for you to be able to know. It's very important that you know. You got to eat the roll. You know what I'm saying? Just because you eating the roll don't mean he's going to send you to teach it, but you got to eat the roll. See, that's what we're going to look at before we begin. I got a few more things coming to my head along the line. It's not going to be that deep unless he adds something else to it. It's going to be simple for the moment. Yeshayahu 34 and 16. Seek ye out the book of Yahuwah and read. So y'all know what that means, y'all? Can anybody tell me what that means? It's very simple. That means he just gave you a commandment and instruction to pick this book up and read it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Luke chapter 11, about verse 5. And we'll come right back to Isaiah 34. Make it 9, verse 9. So when he's telling you to seek ye out the book of Yahuwah and read, he's giving you a commandment. He's telling you to read the book. So y'all need to do that. He said, and I say unto you, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receive, and he that seek find, and to him that knock it shall be opened. So you know what? Because the man tell you in James that he give wisdom to all men liberally. That ask who are not double-minded. The man could give you the coat mind. He could give you the ability to war if you seek the book out and read. That doesn't mean that you don't need nobody to instruct you. That don't mean you don't need nobody to understand the mysteries and to break down the riddles. But you still need to seek. You know what I'm saying? You just don't wait for me to... Don't have that Christian mind state where you just sit and wait for me to go to talking about something. You know what I'm talking about? Watching videos is great. But you still every day. You know what I'm saying? Because for some, it may not for everybody. But if you feel like you don't need to do that, but if you feel like you don't know things like you should know, just 30 minutes a day. And if it's something that you read 30 minutes, man, I wouldn't care which one of y'all it was. If it was something you seen you didn't understand, or whatever it is, or you write down what you got up out of it, or call me, or text me, and get at me so we can make sure that you understand what you read. You know what I'm saying? It's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the word, man, like I said, right now, recently, we got a lot of things we trying to do. But when it comes to this here, the word actually trumps all of the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And most of y'all know when it comes to your questions that pertain to the word, I try to respond back to you as quickly and promptly as possible. Come on back to Isaiah 34. That's if you really want to know. Now, if you don't really want to know, hey, man, do your thing. I remember talking with Quab, he used to say that all the time. How many people can sit back and they really know that the person who they deal with the word, they can call them and talk to them and ask them stuff. Most people feel like they can't get to the person. Oh, Leah's done died out. All right. 34 and 16. Most people feel like they can't talk to that person about that. Or they brush them off. Seek ye out the book of Yahuwah and read. None of one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his ruach it hath gathered them. So this man telling you everything that he said is going to happen. And when he say none shall want her mate, that means it's something to go along with everything that's in here. Everything that's in there is something to line up with it. Oh, excuse me. What's the next thing? Habakkuk chapter 2. Or Habakkuk chapter 2. And verse 2. This is going to get back. I'm going to mention to y'all the word and we'll come back to it. Because we're going to look at it. I'm not sure if that's the Hebrew word in this particular passage. But something is telling me that it is. So let me actually get to that particular book. And then maybe we could actually make something happen here. For some reason it's just like not wanting to appear. Chapter 2 and 2. Habakkuk 2 and 2. Make it 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision. The Hebrew word for vision is ra'ah. And we will be looking at that word this evening. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go all off into it quite yet, but that's the word we'll be looking at this evening. And you can spell it R-A-apostrophe-A-H. Ra'ah. That is the Hebrew word for vision. I'll give you the definition while we're looking at it. It's to see, look, to see and look at, inspect, perceive, consider, look upon, find out, discern, to cause, to see, to show. You know what I'm saying? So that means if there's a vision, somebody has to look at the vision, inspect the vision, perceive the vision, and then cause to show the vision. And everybody can't do that. Say, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. You know what that means to make it plain? Make it crystal clear. Now the reason why we're looking at this here, because it was asked of me, like, okay, that's what it had, man. That's what we got. R-A, the actual spelling is R-A-apostrophe-A. But there's an H on it. We didn't put the H on it when we spelled it out. I haven't mentioned the characters. We already went over, me and Will were looking at this earlier. Well, and I'm looking in Proverbs chapter 1, and in Proverbs chapter 1 is a different word. That's the word that we pulled it from. I was saying this word, in this chapter, it could be a different word. Because we pulled that from Proverbs chapter 1. That's why I say something telling me that the word may be the same, but I'll have to look. Well, in Proverbs 1, it's not kazum though. Somebody got a children's show going on. Yeah, see, indeed, in this chapter, that's the word, but in Proverbs, it's a different word. You see, this one here would be vision, oracle, and prophecy for the word. That's here. Now, when we go around and we look in Proverbs 1, well, actually, not Proverbs 1. My apologies. I pulled that from 2 Chronicles 26 and 5. My apologies. When we go to 26 and 5, and 2 Chronicles 26 and 5, my apologies as well, because I'm thinking about a lot of stuff I'm looking at is going to be in Proverbs chapter 1. And we looking at through the vision to see, look at, well, we're going to sit back and look at that Proverbs, 2 Chronicles 26, though. That's what we pulled that from. So when we look at verse 3, say for the well, verse 2, he saying, Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables that he may run that reading. Now you know what that means when he say you make it plain upon the tables that you may run that reading. Anybody got any idea what he could mean on that? Make it plain so you can run that reading. You know what I'm saying? Now let's sit back and let's look at something, right? Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. This will tie into when we read verses 3 and 4 in this Habakkuk. Hebrews 12 and 1. Matter of fact, back up to 11 and 39, and then we'll work our way down. Now, you know in Hebrews chapter 11, it's talking about faith and the report of people who had faith. And we know we about to read John 5:39 in a minute. And you know without faith it's impossible to please him. And you know the work of Elohim is to believe on him whom he has sent. And you can't believe on him whom he has sent unless you believe on him as the scripture has said, right? Now we know, and you can get you John chapter 16 and 30, and we still gonna read. John chapter 5, verse 39. And 1 John 5 and 21, or 17. And Revelation chapter 1 and verse 3. So he said, and these all having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. Elohim having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. So that means all the people before Mashiach did not receive the promise. They never seen him. They had never heard of him. So the vision had not been made plain unto them, plain upon tables that they may read it. Verse 1 of the 12th chapter of the book of Hebrews, the epistle of Hebrews. Wherefore, seeing we also are encompassed about with so a great cloud of witnesses. Now, when we sit back and look at it, and we could come back another time, y'all will, in the future and look at this. But I'm just going to read some of the names, because did he say a cloud of witnesses? That's what he said, right? So when we know a cloud of witnesses, this is people who can testify, right? Now, we know when I mention the names of all the people that I'm about to mention, every single last one of them are a witness and a testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's see who we see. We see Abel, a testimony of Mashiach. We see Enoch. We see Noah. We see Abraham. Who else do we see here? We see Sarah. We see Isaac. We see Jacob. We see Joseph. We see Moses. We see Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel. All of these, when he say make it plain upon the table, remember Mashiach's the word made flesh. What was the word originally written on? Written on tables of stone, right? And what did the Mashiach say he wore? The chief cornerstone, and the stone that the builders rejected. So when he came and walked in the flesh, he was making it plain upon tables. So that when you could read it, you would run, or like it meant, you would walk in it, or run the race with patience. He said, wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. Hello? Hey, little buddy. Hey. So when we sitting back looking at it, once the book has been made, remember what he said in Proverbs chapter 8? He said, my words are plain to them who have understanding, right? To those who have discernment between good and evil, that can discern between the words of Elohim and the words that are not of Elohim, Hamashiach is plain to them. You understand what I'm telling you? John chapter 16. About verse 28, I want to say. That's why when we looked at that Wednesday, he said, he said, if a man be blind, the God of this world has blinded him. Let me back it up about 24. 16 and 24 of Yehukanan John. Hitherto have you asked nothing in my name. Ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs. But the time come when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of the Father. Did he just tell him to make the vision plain? You know what I'm saying? Because the reason before is because he was speaking in riddles. They were dark sayings. Somebody had to come, just how we looked at before, a preacher, a coeleth, a collector of sentences. Somebody got to come collect these sentences and expound on these parables to make it plain. So once he's made it plain, now you can run the race with patience. You not realize before he came to make it plain, you couldn't run the race. You don't realize that most people, because this is what was asked of me, can somebody anybody can actually make a connection to Mashiach. And that's just being honest. It doesn't even take much skill to be able to do it. To be able to say, oh, see, this is talking about Yahushua right here. Or they can say Yahweh Shai or Jesus, whatever they say. You know what I'm saying? But the difference, the sanctification comes in at, can that person bring forth understanding out of the connection that they have found? That is the difference. Because anybody can say Isaiah 53 is talking about Mashiach. But can you go through Isaiah 53 and can you give me an understanding that can show me how I ought to walk? Or that can increase my faith in Mashiach? Or show me why certain things in the book occurred? or why certain things were said. And anybody can't do that. That's where the taboo that we looked at last week, that's where that come in at. You know what I'm saying? That's where that come in at. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody, I ain't gonna say anybody on certain places. But a lot of places, yeah, you can point that out. See that, especially if you've already been given a pattern to know that it's about him. So then your mind is trained to look for him. But then if you find him in a place, could you expound? That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I was asked. Because they were like, anybody can seem to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right. But some instances, when you look at certain things, everybody can't do. But we're going to look into that in a little bit in a second. I'll stop at verse 26. And at that day you shall ask in my name, and I say not unto you that I will pray the Father for you, for the Father himself loved you, because you have loved me, and have believed that I came out from Elohim. I came forth from the Father, and came into the world. Again I leave the world, and go to the Father. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now speak thou plainly, and speak no proverb. Now we are sure that thou know all things, and need not that any man should ask thee. By this we believe that thou came forth from Elohim. You see why they say they believe he came out from Elohim? Because he wasn't speaking in riddles no more. He was making it plain. Now we can run. You know what I'm saying? See, this goes back to Telahim of Psalm 78 when he said, I will make plain the dark sayings that were spoken of old. Because he said if Mashiach had to come, he had to speak in parable, he had to speak in riddles. Because it was written that he had to do it. And then he had to do what was written in Proverbs 1, which y'all will look at in a little bit, about then he had to come and make the riddles plain. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't come and make the riddles plain. That's something that Elohim got to give you the ability to be able to do. You could, I'm talking about, that's why I was telling you, you could study for days on end, hours on end, months on end, years on end. But if he doesn't give you the, and I just mentioned this because somebody that me and Pell know personally, that man got 25 years in the game. And I guarantee you, he done spent many hours studying. I wouldn't take that away from it at all. But there are certain things that preclude him from being able to understand the riddles. It could be lack of faith. It could be behavior. It could be because y'all don't want to give it to him. Because you can have some people, they might be walking upright. But y'all chooses not to give them the ability to do this. I would rather have you over here doing this. You know what I'm saying? Come on back to Habakkuk chapter 2. That's what I had done told y'all in the past. Everybody got a part to play in the body, and everybody may not play the same role. You know what I'm saying? Hamashiach the only one that played every role. He set it up to where man wouldn't have to do that. Verse 2 again. Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables that he may run that reading. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it. Because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. You know what I'm saying? You know, and somebody, because I was talking about this last week, and I had told them this a while before last week, and then they seen somebody else say this and reiterate that. You know, faith is a very, very important thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons what precludes most people from actually getting any understanding of Mashiach whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Because they actually don't have that firmness and that belief. John 5:39 though. They don't actually have that firmness and that belief. You know what I'm saying? In Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? That's why he say the just live by their faith. You notice he didn't say the just live by the Torah, did he? He said the just live by their faith. So now you no longer live by the law, but you live by the faith of the Son of Elohim who gave his life up for you. That's why Paul said, I will not frustrate the favor of Elohim. If righteousness come from the law, then Mashiach has died in vain. We know through that faith that I'm going to live by my faith in the Son, and I'm going to run with him because he done made it plain. Therefore, I can run that reed. I can run after him. I can walk after him. I can do like him. Therefore, by doing like him, I'm going to conform and obey the Torah because that's what he did. But I live by my faith that's in him. My trust, my unwavering conviction to him. which would be my unwavering conviction to the word. This is what lacks with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? This is why a lot of people fall off and don't really endure to the end, because their faith was small. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have no amunah. It was small. Those who their amunah is strong, their faith is strong and it's deep, they will endure anything. You know what I'm saying? Even at the times where they would want to quit and lay down and die, they will continue to go because their hope is in Yah. That's why you say Baruch is the man who trusteth in Yah, whose hope Yah is. Your only way that your hope would be of Yah is because you have ate the roll. You understand the words that are written in the book. Therefore, it is nothing for you to keep going. Even if you don't even really understand a lot of things, and I know that just from a conversation that I had. If you don't have a real desire to go back to the world, that is a strong indication that your faith in Yah is strong. It just needs to be cultivated. You know what I'm saying? If you sitting back looking at a situation arise and you like, man, I don't understand this here, but going back to the world is not an option. You know what I'm saying? Or going to do this or falling off of this is not an option. That means your faith in Yah is a lot stronger than you think it is. You know what I'm saying? If your inward man has no desire to return to iniquity, because you got some people, they claim they doing it, but they desire to return to iniquity is strong. You know what I'm saying? It's very strong. And all it's going to take is the right situation. And they're going to go back to the world. They're going to live how they've been wanting to live anyway. People just don't go back to the world. It was already in their heart to go back. They just was waiting for a time, reason, and circumstance to go back. You know what I'm saying? Because I done been in situations and circumstances, if my faith in Yah was small, I would have already went back. When you turn around and you look at the world and you like, go back to what? Then you already know, man. That ain't my desire. 5:39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. We have a great cloud of witnesses, right? Because we search the scriptures, ain't we going to see Noah, and we going to see Abel, and we going to see Enoch, and we going to see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, and Moses, and Jephthah. We going to see them. So all of those cloud of witnesses were speaking to him, and now the man done came to make it plain, and is giving the ability to others to make it plain that you may run when you read it. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. See, that's what we have been talking about in the last couple of weeks. A false prophet going to come speaking of himself. He's not going to come speaking of him that sent him. Listen to the next thing he said, though. He said, how can you believe which receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? You know, I done told y'all this numerous times before. That's where a lot of people get the game mixed up is. You thinking that, like I already know off the rip, I don't need validation from no man walking the earth. I don't need nobody to say, son, you nice with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't really need that. I want the honor that comes from y'all. I don't need no honor that comes from me. It's not the first time any of y'all have ever heard me say that. You know what I'm saying? We got love for our people all across the globe. But you don't need nobody to say, to stamp what you're doing. Mm-hmm. For what? You just need y'all to stamp. It don't even got to be just with no preaching or nothing. Would you rather a man stamp what you're doing or y'all stamp what you're doing? All day long. But see, that's the thing that mess our people up, because we want honor that come from each other and not the honor that come from Elohim. See, you can actually see that there when you look at Joseph and his brothers. When he had that vision, he was getting the honor that came from Elohim. He wasn't seeking honor from his brethren, and they were envious and jealous of him because they had to have that carnal mind that we wanted envy, we wanted honor from each other. The same way the apostles asked Mashiach, which one of us will be the greatest? Because they wanted the honor that came from each other instead of the honor that came from Yah. Because they thinking like men. Mm-hmm. Because that type of thought process is how men think. Don't sit back and think a nigga ragging on somebody or nothing. That is the carnal mind. That's how a man thinks. I want somebody to say, good job. Pat me on the back. You know what I'm saying? You're doing great. Doing fantastic work out here. You know what I'm saying? That's how men think. But when we come to dealing with y'all, you got to think of how a spiritual man will think. And a spiritual man is not going to want the honor that come from flesh and blood. He going to want the honor that come from Ruach. Because Elohim is a Ruach. So he going to want the honor that comes from him. Just a different way of thinking. There's nothing wrong with somebody showing appreciation or giving acknowledgement of what you're doing. But the problem come in that when you looking for a man to say, you know what, you a God, boy. I know God with you. I know God with you. I approve this message. You know what I'm talking about? That's where the problem comes in. 1 John 5 and 17. This is why Paul said that in 1 Corinthians chapter 1. One say I'm of Cephas, another say I'm of Apollos, another say I'm of Paul. He says Mashiach divided. He said, who are all these people? Just people who you heard the word from. Well, make it 18. He said, we know that whosoever is born of Elohim sin not, but he that is begotten of Elohim keep himself, and the wicked one touch him not. And we know that we are of Elohim, and the whole world lie in wickedness. And we know that the Son of Elohim is come and hath given us an understanding that we may know him that is true, and we are in him that is true, even in his Son Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the true Elohim and eternal life. Our whole objective is to dwell in the Son. That's who come to give us an understanding. Because when we end up being in the Son, then the adversary can't touch us. That goes back to what we were looking at in Job when Satan said, you got hedges about him. I can't touch him. That's why we have to run into that refuge, into that strong tower. The name of Yah is a strong tower. Those that run into it, they are safe. If we run into that tower, this man cannot touch you. Come over here to 2 Chronicles 26 and 1. Second Chronicles 26 and 1. He said, then all the people of Yehudah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the room of his father, Amaziah. He built Elah and restored it to Yehudah. After that, the king slept with his fathers. 16 years old was Uzziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Jecolah of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah, according to all that his father Amaziah did. And he sought Elohim in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of Elohim. And as long as he saw Yahuwah, Elohim made him to prosper. Now this is what Corey mentioned, because that was a different word in Habakkuk, but this is the word that we pulled that out of, the understanding in the visions of Elohim. And this is where the Raha came in at, to discern, to cause, and to show. Because it says that the king saw Elohim in the days of Zechariah, or the prophet Zechariah. You know what I'm talking about? And Zechariah was able to cause him to show what these visions mean, so he could continue to seek Elohim. Now, when we look at the characters that we have for this particular word, it's just two. We have the Raj, and we have the An. And what we get here is the highest, or the head, to understand or know experience. You know what I'm saying? So Zechariah was causing this man to understand the Most High. This is what he was causing him to do. Now we're going to go look at Ephesians chapter 4 and about verse 4 real fast and show you this here. So you see that the king is seeking to somebody to cause him to understand the experience of the Most High so he can continue to prosper. Because he had to go holler at this man for him to understand, to know it. I got to go to the man who got understanding in the visions. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to look at two examples of people who had understanding in visions that I mentioned earlier. I didn't might as well go ahead and do it before we swing to Proverbs. Ephesians 4 and 4. There's one body and one Ruach, even as you are called in one hope of your calling. One master, one faith, one immersion, one Elohim and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. But unto every one of us is given favor according to the measure of the gift of Mashiach. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the arras? He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all Shamahim, that he might fill all things. And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors, and teachers, for the perfecting of the Kadeshim, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Mashiach. So that means he didn't just give prophet, he gave multiple people to cause the people to have the vision. So if they can be instructed, they can run when they read it, right? So they can continue to seek Elohim that you might prosper or be increased. Now we're going to look at something in Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 1. Let's look at that real fast since we're talking about all this. You could get you 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15 while we at it. Like I told you, some brothers out, the brothers I know in Detroit, they out like literally are writing out the entire law. You know what I'm saying? Now is that an instruction for all of Yasharal to do? No. You know who was instructed to write out the whole law? The scribes, and the king was supposed to have a copy of it. He's supposed to have it. That's one of the reasons why they write it out, because the scribes or the priests got to write it out. And the king's supposed to have a copy of it, because he's supposed to have been reading it. The reason why he's supposed to have been reading it, so he know how to carry and conduct himself and move, because he was the head of all the people. The reason why I mention that here is not that I'm a king or any preacher is a king, but a king is a ruler over the people. It's just giving you a similitude of those that are over the people who feeding the people the word, though the king wasn't feeding the people the word. That they supposed to be skilled and knowledgeable of it. That they would be able to know how to discern and judge properly. Ezekiel 3 and 1. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat thou that thou find, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Yasharah. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Now, just for information purposes, who knows what in this book was described to taste like honey? It does say that in Psalms, but that's what he just said right there in Ezekiel. But in Psalms 119, it says that his word is sweet like honey. But there's something specific that pertains to Mashiach that's supposed to taste it like honey. No, not that one. No. Pale just said it, but I'm going to see who on the phone know what it is. No, it wasn't a run out the rock. It was the manna was described as being tasted sweet like honey, and it was like wafers, right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? And you know Mashiach said he's the manna, he's the bread that comes from Shamayim. And what he told you to do with his body. And if you eat it, guess what you would be? So you're supposed to get in your mind, when you actually eating that unleavened bread, you're actually eating the word. See, in Jeremiah, he said, open your mouth wide and I will fill it. This is why Mashiach come back and say, blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness. So if you hunger for the word and you thirst for the Ruach, you will be increased and filled with it. You know what I'm saying? But you got the hunger to want to eat that. See, he told Ezekiel, come eat that roll. Ezekiel said, man, this thing was sweet like honey to my taste. So the word's supposed to be sweet like honey to your taste. You're supposed to hunger for it. You're supposed to devour that. You're supposed to eat. That's why he say, man don't live by bread alone, but every word that proceed out the mouth of Yah doth man live. So you're supposed to live by that. Job even said in the 29th chapter, or 23rd chapter, he said, I esteemed your word over my necessary food. Job said, I'd rather eat your word than eat food. I need to keep my physical body alive. You know what I'm saying? 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Make it 14. He said, of these things put them in remembrance, charging them before the master that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers. So what he's telling us right here is it's no need for us to argue about things that ain't got no gain, that ain't going to do nothing but call people to hear that, to turn away from the word. He says, study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And you know, I know y'all see that stuff online all the time. All the common and worthless arguments that people have, and all it leads is to more unrighteous behavior. But this man say to study to show yourself approved as a workman. I mean, a workman is a laborer. You know what I'm talking about? Now, you done heard this man say, eat this word and go speak it to my people. So the only way he gonna be, if he done ate that, you know what he's really sitting back talking about? This man studying this word regularly. This goes back to what we looked at in Isaiah 34, when he said to seek ye out the book of Yahuwah and read, because everyone will have her mate. That means you got to be able to rightly cut this word in half. And since we said that, it's one of the words we got here, we're not going to actually go into what they mean. But we have the word. You could go to Proverbs chapter 1 so y'all can know that where these words are coming from. Because you know in some places it can have a different word. Just like y'all just seen a different word for vision that we read in 2 Chronicles 26 was different than what we seen in the book of that prophet. Proverbs 1:1. We're going to look at a word for proverb. We're going to look at the Hebrew word for proverb, for figure, for instruction, for justice, for discretion, for learning, and for wise counsel. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to look at the characters. But when we turn around and look at this, you're going to be able to see something. And what you're going to be able to see is how to be able to make the vision to be seen through this. 1:1 of Proverbs. He say the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Yasharal, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtility to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Well, the first thing we see, well, a wise man increased in learning and a man of understanding attained the wise counsel. The first thing you seen that is you seen King Uzziah going to who? Who did King Uzziah go to? He go to Zechariah. Why would he go to Zechariah? Because he had understanding in dark sayings. He attended to a wise counsel. So he would be directed in the proper way to go in. Now, one of the first things we look at in proverb, and the word for that we have in this particular instance for proverb is mashal, and you can spell it M-A-S-H-A-L, and it just means a proverb, a parable, or a similitude. So when you turn around and look at this, what's the word we're looking at, man? And I got this. So when you sit back and look at it, yeah, indeed, to understand a dark saying or a similitude, and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. You know what that means you're going to have to do? Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. My bad, I'm a Song of Solomon. 12:10, or 12:9. Moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs, set in order many dark sayings, many similitudes. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as gold and as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. So the words of the wise are going to motivate. He said to understand the words of the wise and their dark sayings or the similitudes. So let's look at 1 Peter chapter 1, about verse 3. You know, the sayings of Mashiach were hidden from the foundation of the world. This is why, and get you John chapter 8, verse 41, just so you can see something what Mashiach told him. I know I called for Revelation 1 and 3. We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to drop down to verse 7, though, of Peter, 1 Peter 1 and 7. He said that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perish, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto the praise and honor and esteem at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach, whom having not seen ye love, and whom though now you see him not, yet believing, you rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, or full of esteem. So you haven't seen this man at all. All you've seen is the similitudes of this being man manifested. You know Hosea 12 and 10, he spoke by he used similitudes by the ministry of who? Of the prophets, right? So the thing that we sitting back looking at is somebody has to come in and set in order the similitude in order for you to see him, which is why he said he set in the body apostles, prophets, pastors, evangelists, and teachers. One is not mutually exclusive of the other. You know what I'm talking about? If you got somebody who's an apostle, you can get the similitude of Mashiach to believe on him, to get the Ruach and save your soul, because they can make the table plain so you can run when you read it. The same way you can do that if you got a teacher, or you got a pastor, or you got an evangelist. He's giving them all the same ability to do the same thing, because they would have to study to show themselves approved as a workman to Elohim going through these scriptures, now wouldn't it? That means they would have sat down, because they say the preacher was wise. He sought and set in order many proverbs. And he spoke even words of truth and taught the people words that were upright. That means he would have had to study the book. You just sit back, like we looked at last week with Ezra being a ready scribe. He's taught in the law of Moses. He said he sought the law of Yahuwah to teach the statutes and judgments to Yasharao and to do them himself. That means he sat down and he showed himself approved. And we're going to look at that in a minute, because he caused the people to understand the reading. That means he set in order the proverbs and rightly divided the word. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing that sets people apart from those who actually, that's how you show yourself to be approved of Elohim. This is actually going back, like, you know, the time period, Pat, people asking me, well, how can you do what you're doing? Where did you get it from? And one of the first things I said was, why don't you look at my body of work, Dylan? That's one of the first things I said, Dylan. Just look at my body of work and judge it based off of that. Because judging based off of that, you should have known that I was a workman. Mm-hmm. You should have known just off of that. Go look at the work. The work speaks for itself. You think I could have been able to do that and just been winging it? Or borrowing that from somebody? Ain't no way in the world. That came from it basically come like this here. The ability came because Yah gave it. But him to give the ability came from hours, day in and day out, of diligently searching the scriptures and studying so I could rightly divide it. You know what I'm saying? To be able to find the mate. See, I thank y'all for that. I wasn't looking for it, but I appreciated it though. Listen to what he said now in verse 9. He said, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, of which salvation the prophets have inquired and diligently, and searched diligently, my apologies, who prophesied of the favor that should come unto you, seeing what manner of time the Ruach of Mashiach, which was in them, did signify when it testified beforehand the sufferings of Mashiach and the esteem that should follow, unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Ruach HaKodesh sent down from Shamahim, which things the Malachim desire to look into. So all this here is talking about is all the things that the prophet spoke of that was to serve us, that those of us who came after Mashiach would be able to minister that unto you. And it said they would be able to do that by the Ruach HaKodesh sent down from Shamahim, meaning that no man can testify of the Son without the I'm talking about with understanding. You can't do that without him. Why? Because he said we know the Son of Elohim is coming giving us an understanding, that we may know him, that is true. That means the Son of Elohim has to impart that unto you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you were sitting down and being taught by a man, and he's showing you these things, if the Ruach HaKodesh does not impart understanding unto you, you're not going to be able to go no further than the information that the man presented if you try to present it on your own. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to go no further than what that person gave you. And if you didn't remember what that person gave you, or if somebody asked you a question, you wouldn't be able to go any further, because all you would be doing is regurgitating what that person said to you. You know what I'm saying? It's sometimes where people that came and asked me, bro, what did it mean? It's some of the stuff where y'all done know when we done looked at a particular verse, one verse now, 5, 6 different ways. That don't come from no regurgitation. That come from being able to understand dark sayings. See, now we're going to look at a dark saying. We're going to look in Genesis or Bereshit chapter 40. We're going to look at Joseph. Are we just going to do it? Just look at the law. We just look at Joseph. They couldn't understand the saying. They needed to holler at somebody. And chapter 40 is not here. Pardon me, I got to get on the app, y'all. Chapter 40 is not in that book. Just give me a minute. Now it's going to say no navigation for document. You dirty little whore. Yeah, it's loading. It's still loading. swipe it out. And one of these days I might just buy a new book, but I don't like new books.
Me neither, man. All beat up, keep it that way.
Well, no, I mean, it's just because I've been got comfortable with it and I know where the stuff at. Then I have to learn a whole new book.
Yep.
I don't want to learn a whole new book, but we probably gonna have to learn a whole new book. All right, y'all. Genesis chapter 40 and about verse 1. We'll make it about 3. He said, he put them in the ward of the house of the captain of the guard in the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in the ward. They dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream, and one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Mizraim, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his master's house, saying, wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to Elohim? Tell me them, I pray you. Did you see the key thing that Joseph just told that man? What did he just tell this man?
Interpretation belong to Elohim.
He said, the interpretation belonged to the Most High. Now you already know from the 37th chapter of this same book that he had gave Joseph a dream, didn't he? Gave him a vision. See, this is just going back to what we were talking about with this here, because remember now, from we looking at the word Ra, it's to understand or know and experience. You know what I'm saying? To understand the experience of the highest. To understand that. Now, we're not going to go all through these dreams that these men had, but we know the dreams that these men had was the resurrection of Mashiach. Do y'all also remember, because I know I was talking to Troy with this, with the brother in South Carolina. Any of y'all remember what this tie into? With Joseph in prison, interpreting a dream of the resurrection of Mashiach. Do y'all remember what this could go to? Huh? When he was prophesying to the spirits in prison. Now this is what an example what we're talking about causing to understand a vision. You know how many people read that chapter and had no idea that this is talking about Elohim had taken away my reproach or taking away my sin, and he's coming into the prison? What is that all that now? Somebody got to mute their phone, man. Got a lot of stuff going on, man. You know what I'm saying? This is what that means about understanding the vision, because what we get out of that is understanding. What we get out of that is the mercy of Elohim. What we get out of that is that he able to spare our forefathers because he sent his son to impart knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to them that they might believe. See, come over here to 1 Corinthians 15. This is to understand the experience. So when he broke down the vision, you know what the experience they got to understand? What their Savior went through. That they might believe, that they might be put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Ruach and live. Because that man said in Romans chapter 10, whosoever confessed that Yahushua is the son of Elohim and died and resurrected on the third day, that same man will be saved. You know why you would believe that? Because you would believe that story about Joseph was actually about Mashiach, because he bare witness to him. He testified to him. That way, now to sitting back, you look at it, what was written on the tables is plain, because you got to remember, if Moses went up there on that mount, you think he just went up there and got 10 commandments? That means he had to go up there and get the story about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph, and all of them, and teach that to the people. Because he say, take all the words of this law and impart it to the people. So that means everything from Bereshit 1 and 1 all the way to 50 and 22, he sat down and showed them people that. Because these people had no idea who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was. They didn't know who Joseph was. They didn't know who Judah was. They didn't know who Reuben was. They didn't know who none of these people were. Not that generation. Because once Joseph died, then the Pharaoh rose who didn't know him, and he began to put our people in subjugation and in hard bondage. So you know, if the Pharaoh rose up didn't know Joseph, then you know the people who were living at the time didn't know him. That's why he say, well, there's a lack of a vision, the people perished. There was no prophet at the time to give the people anything, therefore they were perishing in Mizraim, or perishing in bondage. So what did Yah do? He had to raise them up a prophet. And when he raised them up a prophet, and by the way of Moses, then Moses began to give them understanding of the sentences, that they may run when they read it. But you know what the people chose to do? They chose not to run. They chose not to run. They chose to stay put. 1 Corinthians 15:1. That's why they say their ears uncircumcised. The word of Yahuwah is a reproach to them. They have no delight in it. See, when you have a delight for the word, you love to hear it and read it. You love everything about it. You know, he can sit back, Dwight can sit back and tell you, man, I love the word. I ain't got to be the person to preach it. So you think that if I ain't preaching it, I don't want to hear it? You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to want to hear it if you trash. You know what I'm saying? But if you're nice with yours, hey, man, do your thing. Because I'm going to give credit what credit is due. If you're nice with yours, you're nice with yours. I ain't mad at you. You know what I'm saying? I like to see people doing their thing. I wouldn't care what it was. If you was the grave digger and you were good at digging grave, boy, I see you, boy. Do your thing. You know, that's one of the biggest things that mess black people up, man, as a whole, as a people, that we don't like to sit back and give acknowledgement or credit when our people doing something and doing it well. We don't like to do that. You know what I'm saying? For whatever, I mean, there's a multitude of reasons, and we don't have to go into all the reasons, because we could be in here all night just talking about that, right? You know what I'm saying? But you notice that black people don't like to acknowledge when people doing well or doing something good. You notice that if two black people are doing the same thing, one always got to try to put himself over the other. They can't never be right here side by side. You know, I done told y'all this story before when I was up the road, man. Dude named Jovan Anderson. You know, brother was real intelligent dude, real sharp, man. And brothers used to come to ask us which one of y'all the smartest. And we'll look at him like, nigga, what do you mean? Why does one of us got to be smarter than the other? Why we can't be equal? Why is it got to be a competition? You know what I'm saying? That's how our minds done got messed up. That we feel like that we have to compete with each other in everything. That we just can't walk together hand in hand. That we brothers. It doesn't matter. Who cares who's the smartest? Who cares who's the fastest? Who cares who's the wisest? What difference does it make? I can get something from you and you can get something from me. And guess what ends up happening? You get stronger, I get stronger. You get better, I get better. When you look at other nations, and every nation don't execute in this fashion, but a lot of them do that. That's why they got more unification and more togetherness than we might have, because they're not looking at that they're in competition with each other. And I'm going to be honest with you, we learned that from the Caucasians. Because that's how they roll. You know what I'm saying? That's how they roll. You know, you go back and look at ancient Greece and Rome, their whole thing was that they would have a wrestling match or a fight, and if I beat you up, then I would sodomize you to exercise my dominance over you. Seriously. I'm only mentioning that because Lupercalia is tomorrow. That's the only reason why I mention that, because Lupercalia is tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they did, though. And you know, we don't sit back and look at as a forth as sodomizing each other to exercise our dominance, but we try to exercise our dominance over each other by I drive a better car than you. I wear better clothes than you. I have more sex with women than you. More people like me than you. I rap better than you, or I preach better than you, or I walk better than you. There's only one time that you will see in honesty that a man should be in exercising it, because this is in nature. And that's when they seeking a mate. You know what I'm talking about? Because y'all made men like that to sit back and, you know, hey, I'm a better option for you than them. But then there's a difference, because it's only one type of man that actually moves like that, and that's an alpha male. And every man is not an alpha male. You know what I'm saying? Every woman don't want an alpha male. An alpha male is something totally different. See, two alpha males can't even exist in the same place. You know what I'm talking about? Because they gonna butt heads. Because an alpha male ain't nothing. These are leaders. You know what I'm talking about? Hardcore people. They can have a bond. They can deal with each other, but they're not going to exist in the same place for too long, because they're going to butt heads. Because one is going to try to exert his dominance over the other. And if they are true alpha male, neither one of them are going to bend. You know what I'm saying? And most people that y'all send to preach the word are alpha males. You know what I'm talking about? That's why in a lot of instances, you've seen a lot of them alone. They had men to labor with them, but in a lot of instances, that's why you've seen them alone, because these are strong personalities. These are strong dudes. You know what I'm saying? 1 Corinthians 15:1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also you have received, wherein ye stand. You don't realize that he sat back and Joseph broke that word down to him, and they stood on that? By which also you are saved, if you keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless you believed in vain. Did not those two men keep in memory what the man said to him? For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Mashiach died for our sins according to the scripture. It's not Joseph come right over there and gave to them what was given to him. And that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the scriptures. And that he was seen of Cephas, then of the 12. And after that he was seen of above of 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. Now we didn't go through it, but he broke down about how the man was going to drink from Pharaoh's cup, and that the branch would come out, and it would be 3 branches to it, and he would drink the cup, and you know that's him drinking that cup at Passover, and that's him drinking the cup of affliction, the same cup that you drink on Passover when he said, can you be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with and drink from the cup that I drink from? Can you suffer like I suffer to become one with me? Because what you're looking at, and I like the way, I have been meaning to tell Troy this here. Some of y'all ain't heard we gonna make it. We just want to make it. But on his second verse on the record, he weaves in Joseph's story. That if you don't know Joseph's story like that, when you listen to it, you gonna think he just talking about something. Unless you catch when you say on his ad lib and he say Joseph. You know what I'm saying? Because he let it know. This is how he did it. Like if you know the word, you know what he's talking about. He said, you know, just because she a freak don't mean you got to be. All that going back to is, okay, his master's wife wanted to have sex with him. Joseph like, no. Remember, we dealt with this, her grabbing on his clothes, taking his clothes. When he's like, no, I ain't finna do that. He get locked up on the strength. Just like Mashiach got locked up on the strength. Joseph kept his faith even in prison. Just like Mashiach kept his faith even in prison. Mind steady on the kingdom. What happened when Joseph came up out the pit, up out of prison? He inherited the kingdom. The same way that Mashiach inherited the kingdom. Guess what happens when you get immersed in the Mashiach name? This is what you realize it is. I'm sitting back willing to dwell in the pit. Then I'm coming up out of the pit so I can inherit the kingdom. So I can sit at the right hand. That's why he sat back and told him, drink of this cup. When you drink of this cup, you'll be restored as you was at the beginning. Mashiach got restored back to where he was when he started. You know what I'm talking about? Now we sitting back looking at, if you've been ordained to salvation from the foundation of the world, that means you were chosen to be saved. You seeking to be restored right back to where you was when you started. Which was to be with Elohim. You know what I'm saying? That's where your mind got to be trained to. This is why we sitting back to be able to understand, to know the experience. When we understand and know the experience of Mashiach, then we'll be willing to take on the experience of Mashiach. This is what it means to understand the vision. When you understand the vision, then you're going to seek Mashiach. When you seek Mashiach, then you will find. And when you'll find, you'll be saved. Luke 24 and 25. If you follow what I'm talking about, I pray that you do. This is the purpose of why we search the man out the word and look at some of this stuff. It's to understand the vision and understand his experience. When you understand his experience, you know what's going to happen? You're going to want to take on the experience. 24 and 25. Then said he unto them, O fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Mashiach to have suffered these things to enter into his esteem? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. Now we're going to sit back and we're going to look at this. We have another word. And that word is riddle. And that word, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, somebody can let it be known. Chadai. And it means riddle, difficult question, or parable. And the character that we have for that is the is the chet, I believe. I didn't write it on there, but that's what it is. Private and separate. Then we have the yard, which is the separate arm that works. You know what I'm saying? Then we have the dollar, which is the separate arm that works, that enters you into the door. And then we end it with the hay that reveals the breath. So when we sitting back looking at these riddles or these difficult questions or parables or dark sayings, those who have the understanding, the experience, see, now get your Hebrews 5 and 12. Let's go back to this right here, what we've been talking about. Those who have the understanding and know the experience can be able to show you that separate arm which works, the separate arm that will enter you into the door to reveal breath to you or reveal life to you. Which we know what we were talking about a little bit on Wednesday, that Hashatan is coming to destroy the covenant of eternal life. He's trying to stop you from understanding these riddles. What did I just say?
Hebrews.
Yeah, 5 and 12. Just because it just popped in my head real fast. And all this coming from what we looked at Habakkuk about. Make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that reading. So, you know, my whole job and objective as a coalescer or a collector of sentences is to make it plain. He said, it is my words are plain to them who have understanding or binah or discernment of what is Mashiach and what is not. What is the truth and what is a lie? Because, you know, I was talking to somebody about this, and I'm going to show you all this here too. 5 and 12. He said, for when the time that you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Elohim, and have become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongs to them that are of full age, even of those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. You know what that means? You would have experience. That's all that's telling you, right? You would have experience. That means you would have experience with the highest to know and understand the vision or the experience of Mashiach. He said you reason by reason of use. By reason of use. That means you would actually use the word. I mean, you would actually do the word. And because you actually use it and do it, then you would have the experience, which would cause you to understand the visions, to be able to unload it to the people. I mentioned Ezra. Let's look at Ezra. Ezra 7 and 5, and get your Nehemiah 7 and 4. Ezra 7 and 5, and then Nehemiah 8. And Jeremiah 3 and 15. See, we're going to spend a lot of time in the scriptures today. Maybe not spend a lot of time in the Gospels and the epistles, but might going to spend a lot of time. Because, you know, we can break stuff down and not even have... I put it to you this way. We can show principles of stuff and never go in the Old Testament and do it straight out the New. And then we can show principles of stuff and do it straight out the Old and never go in the New. Because the reason why I say that is because sometimes you got to slay people who buck up against the scriptures, the Torah and the Tanakh, and you got to slay them with the new covenant. And then sometimes you got to do it just like how it was done in the days of old. There was no Gospels. There was no epistles. When Paul sat down and taught these people, all he had was Genesis to Malachi to show them. That's all he had. So you got to be able to sit down and cause to understand the reading from just one. But it's even better when you can do it with both. 7 and 5 says the son of Abishua, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a ready scribe in the law of Moses, which Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal had given. And the king granted him all his requests according to the hand of Yahuwah his Elohim upon him. You drop down to 10, we can read all this. For Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the law of Yahuwah and to do it, and to teach in Yasharal's statutes and in judgment. If he prepared his heart, that means he studied then, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And not only that, but he said it in his heart that he would walk in it. You know what I'm saying? This is where his mind was at. This is what he set his heart up to do. So you'll sit back and look at, I know a lot of people would have a desire to teach. I didn't necessarily have one to do it. I mean, Pale no man, I like to just talk about just stuff I was learning, mm-hmm. more so than, nigga, I just want to be somebody's teacher. Because you can sit, well, basically like what we would call politicking. You know what I'm saying? We might be 6, 7 deep, whatever the case may be. Everybody just sitting around chopping it up. One man say, put something, another man talking about something, because that's how we rolled when we were young. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's how I rolled my entire life. Yep. So then when you turn it around looking at, like, actually, formally standing in an assembly, standing before people, instructing people, like that wasn't a reality. You know what I'm saying? You could be, like you in the street preaching, it's not the same. Because you may never see these people again in your entire life. You know what I'm saying? You plant the seed and impart the information from somebody in maybe a 5 to 15 minute window. Depending on where you at. It's totally different when you dealing with people week by week, you walking in somewhere and you got to disseminate information. It's totally different. That's why some dudes rather preach. That's why when you see a lot of dudes who preach in the street, they always say the same things over and over and over again, because the message is usually going to be the same, because there's only so much. Like, I couldn't go into the street and really go into the type of stuff that we be going over. That stuff going to shoot right over these people's head. They'll be like, what is this nigga talking about?
Yeah.
I ain't never heard nothing like that before. Like, you would have to really come down on some other type information than versus if you in an assembly and you walking in here and amongst a group of people who come every week to hear the word, it's different.
Yep.
It's completely different. It's a completely different thought process. It's a completely different approach. Because I could go out in the street and break down the same sentences and parables and all, but it's not going to be the same. Because that's probably not even going to hook. In the street, you looking to try to put something out there to cause people to want to turn from what they're doing and maybe inquire about how they can receive more of the word of Elohim, that then you would actually get them in this type of setting like what we do. But at the time when I was in the street, I wasn't thinking about doing nothing like that. So there was nowhere where you could send them. The only thing you could do is if you knew something like somebody on YouTube, you could reference them to look at that. Because I'm not preaching like that. I didn't even have a phone, so you couldn't even call me like you want to holler at me, because I didn't even have a phone. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't even know about stuff like that. I done told, like, boy, I used to work off the payphone. You couldn't call me, I called you. You know what I'm saying? Lil Muffin know, like, people didn't even know if I was alive or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up and down. They be like this here. They be like this here. They see a strange number on their phone. That's probably Dwayne then. Am I lying? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about everybody who knew it. There's no way you could call me. So there was no way I could sit down and be like, yeah, brother, I can break the word down for you like this here. Unless I was in a neighborhood and they knew I was going to be there, and then they could come holler at me. It's completely different.
Yeah, you used to call my phone on the payphone, didn't
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, man. I just forgot about that.
Yeah,
I used to see them 904 numbers. I was like, oh, it's got to be somebody.
Yeah, Nehemiah child. Yeah, I worked the payphone in the heartbeat. Well, I didn't have no money for no phone, but I didn't even want one. I only got one because somebody I knew at the time was like, get one. So I went ahead and got one. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even bought it. I didn't have the money to pay the bill, be honest. 8 and 2. Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation of both men and women, and all that could hear with understanding upon the first day of the 7th month. So what day is this that they covered up there that he called bringing all the people who got understanding? What day is this? If it's the first day of the 7th month, what day is it? Anybody? Y'all don't know what the first day of the 7th month is? That'll be trumpets. So he got the people gathered up for a feast day. He said he read therein before the street that was before the water gate from the morning until the midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand, and all the people, and all the ears of the people were attentive unto the book of the law. Somebody got to mute their phone. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they made for the purpose, and beside him stood Mattithiah, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, Messiah on the right hand, and on his left, Pedaiah, Mishael, Micaiah, Hashum, Hashabadana, Zechariah, and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, it says, and when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed Yahuwah the great Elohim. And all the people answered, so be it, with lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads and worshiped Yahuwah with their faces to the ground. And Yeshua, and Bani, and Shebariah, and Jamin, and Akub, and Shabbathatha, and Hodiah, and Messiah, and Kalita, and Azariah, and Josabad, and Hanan, and Peliah, and the Levites, caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read in the book of the law of Elohim distinctly, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading. That's the whole key point of what we sit back and look at, is that people got to cause you to understand the reading. You got to be able to understand the reading. Most people do not understand the reading. Go back to Proverbs chapter 1. And to be able to understand the reading, it has to be manifested and broke down for you. Got to be able to understand the reading. So when we look to know wisdom and instruction, right? To perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. Now he said to give subtility to the simple. Come on over here and let's look at that. The word for simple. The word for simple is, I'm probably not going to be pronouncing it wrong, but peth-he, or something of that nature. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It means simplicity, naivety, simple, foolish, and open-minded. You know what I'm saying? And that's what messengers are sitting back looking at. So what he's sitting back saying is he wants to give wisdom to those who don't know it. So then we got the power there for that, which is mouth, speak, open word. Make sure I don't want to say that wrong. We got the top, which is to twist, a snake, or to surround. And then we have the yard, to close, to make an arm work. So we have to sit back and look at is, go to something in Matthew chapter 10. So the whole purpose of when he say to give subtility to the simple, remember he said that who he said was more subtle than any beast that y'all had made. Who on the phone know that? What beast is more subtle than any beast that y'all have made? Y'all know what the beast was more subtle than any beast that y'all had made? Y'all don't know. That ain't good. Everybody quiet. Somebody tell me something. It was the serpent. Now he just turned around and said that you're supposed to be able to come that this word is going to sit back and mean that an open word will come to twist or surround the serpent to close off for the arm that works. Which is going back to what we sitting back looking at with the riddle, is to be able to make separate of the arm so you can enter in the door to reveal breath. So what we're talking about is we're coming with something to destroy him who's trying to stop you from getting this understanding. Just like what you seen the serpent was doing in the garden. He didn't want you to get to that tree of life because you would be able to get this understanding. So he said we have to surround this snake or this serpent and twist him and destroy him. You know what I'm talking about? So let's look at something then. Let me see. Make it Romans 16. 16 and 17. He said, now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. For they that are such serve not our master Yahushua HaMashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. Now all this is going, he say good words and fair speeches, or beautiful words, or orators. And you look at most people like, T.D. Jakes or Joel Osteen, or even some Hebrew dudes that you can see. Most of them, the speeches are real nice. They use real nice words. They say real nice things. And it causes your faith to stand in the wisdom of men. And not your faith to stand in Elohim. You know what I'm saying? From any of y'all that know me the whole time, I've always told you to point you to Mashiach. Let your faith stand in him. Not in my words, but in this man's words. Because when you stand your faith stand in this man's words, then you will have power. You'll have power to rule with Elohim because you'll be ruling with his son. Because you'll do just like Jacob did. You'll grab onto your brother's heel and latch on to him. Say he had power with Elohim in the womb. That's what Hosea chapter 12 say, or 11 say. Had power with his brother. Well, actually chapter 12, probably about verse 4 or 5. Say he had power in the womb with Elohim when he latched on and grabbed onto Esau's heel. Don't you realize when you coming up out of that water, you latching on and grabbing on Mashiach's heel. To have power with him. Because remember, we know Esau mean ruddy, so you grabbing onto the blood. Say he had power in the blood. Because they had power to wash away your iniquities. And then through that there, you'll be made clean and made whole. And you can be able to rule with this man. Because he said if you suffer with him, you'll reign with him. If you suffer with him, that means you're going to have to be afflicted with him. And if you're going to be afflicted with him, that means you got to die with him. And if you're going to die with him, it's because you understood the vision. Because you understood the vision, you would believe and walk in the similitude of his behavior. You know, that's why he asked, man, how many of y'all really willing to drink from that cup he drunk from and be immersed with that immersion he was immersed with? How many of y'all willing to drink that cup? And he say the dregs thereof are for the wicked. You know what I'm saying? That when it comes, and what I'm really referencing is when you drink this cup, it's going to be reversed. The judgment going to be backwards. Because in the eyesight of Elohim, you would be righteous. In the eyesight of men, you would be wicked. Because they would think something is wrong with you. Because of what you stand for. Therefore, they will treat you as an outcast and as a sinner and as a transgressor. They'll say you a fool, and people will say you a fool for what you're enduring for this man's name's sake. You know what I'm saying? Was you willing to be immersed with what he was immersed with? We ain't talking about going to get in no water. Will you be able to go through that trial of your faith, which is more precious than gold? Will you be able to be brought through that fire and be able to be made purged, to be able to be made clean? He said, I haven't taken you. He said, silver is refined in the furnace. He said, I didn't refine you through that, though. He said, I put you through some suffering to refine you and to make you perfect. You know, I was talking about this yesterday, and I've told y'all this before. It may have not resonated. As long as you're alive and you dealing with the word, you will be constantly maturing and growing. The minute you think that you straight and you done arrived and there's no maturing or growing you have to do is the minute that you are dead. And this is not the first time that I've said this. I've said this on numerous occasions. As long as you breathing, this man is going to grow you and mature you that you may be made perfect. But when you're ready to exit here and you done did all that you can to stand, that means you were perfected by the time it's time for you to exit here. You know what I'm talking about? That means you have been perfected when it's time for you to exit here. Don't you realize when Mashiach exited here, he had been perfected? Don't you realize when Joseph came up out of that prison house that he had been perfected? Because when he came up out of that prison house, he got out of to do what? To reign. He came out of that jailhouse to rule. He ruled with Pharaoh, sat at his right hand, and nobody could make a move unless Joseph spake it. Why? Because he had been perfected by this point. You sit back and look at what happened to him. He got a vision, a dream for the word. His father loved him above all his children. His brothers hated him. His brothers sold him into slavery, tossed him in a hole. When they came back to the hole, he was gone. Now he in a strange land among strange people, standing upon the word. A woman tried to have sex with him, lied on him. He go to jail, and his faith still stood in Elohim, and he ministered the word of Elohim in jail. And then becoming up out of jail, he ends up administering the word of Elohim again. The same way Mashiach did. This man spoke to the spirits in prison and then got out of jail and broke the word down to the people again. And what ends up happening? He goes to sit at the right hand, just like Mashiach did. So then you have to turn around and look at that. Would you be willing to drink from that cup and take that type of affliction and sacrifice so you can reign with him? You got to ask yourself, can I take that? Could I endure that? Am I willing to do that? And that's what we mean when we talk about understanding the dark parable of sin. Because most people going to read that story about Joseph, they're not going to see all of that. By the favor of Yahuwah, we can see that and we can sit back and ask ourselves, can I take that cost? You know, Revelation 2:10, he say, fear not, the devil will cast some of you into prison to try you. He said, you'll be tempted 10 days, but keep your faith, I'll give you a crown of life. He cast Joseph right into prison. Joseph kept the faith, he got a crown. Did he not get a crown?
Yes, sir.
Same thing Revelation, same thing Mashiach said. You wonder where he get it from. You wonder why he say that. You think that when the adversary got Joseph cast into prison? What did he do? Because he didn't want to put his penis in a woman who was married? He He said, I will not sin against my Elohim by laying with you. They lied on the man. He went to jail. Cast him into prison. He was tried. He was proved. Y'all seen that he loved him. He brought him up out of that situation. How many of y'all would be willing to do that? Or would you just went ahead and put your penis in that woman? Or would you would have sat back and denied your Elohim when these people was ready to cast you in this prison to prove you out? You have to sit back and ask yourself, can you take that? Is you willing to take that? Verse 19, for your obedience is come abroad unto all men. I am glad therefore on your behalf, but yet I would have you wise unto that which is good, and simple concerning evil. And the Elohim of Shalom shall bruise Satan under your feet shortly. The favor of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach be with you, so be it. So our whole objective when we sit back and looking at this word, that we got to speak a word to destroy Satan then. What's going to destroy Satan but Mashiach? That's why we looked at that on Wednesday, and we're not ignorant of his devices. Can any of y'all who was listening Wednesday, I know it wasn't many of y'all, can any of y'all remember what some of his devices are? Who on this phone can tell me some of the devices of the wicked one? According to the book. Devices mean his tactics. The things that he uses. That he does. Anybody know the devices of the wicked one that we looked at the other day? Strife and contention is one. Lust and pride are two more. And you sit back and look at it, right? Remember he said the lust of your father, and strife and contention are the biggest devices that he likes to use. Behind lust and pride. You know what I'm saying? Lust is his number one winner. Whatever you desire after, that's his number one winner. That's why he say they deceive the simple, or the naive, or the peheth, the open-minded, the simple, the foolish. So I admit to Matthew 10, but we ain't got to go get it. You remember what Mashiach told the disciples? What he told them to be wise as?
Wise as serpents.
Wise as a serpent. He told them to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. That's why he said, I would have you be wise of that which is good and simple with that concerning is evil. Meaning, know their tactics. Know your enemy. Man, don't you know one of the first tactics of warfare is to know your enemy? Don't you realize before these white folks waged war on you, they watched you and studied you on every cut and corner to learn how to destroy you? I just give you something simple. You can't go in no white neighborhood and find no Kool-Aid and malt liquor in they stores. They know they studied you. They know you like that little sweet stuff. They know I'm serious though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they studied that. They already knew that. That's why they put that in your neighborhood. They already know that. You think they bring you in these hospitals and treat you as guinea pigs for nothing? They trying to figure out what we can come up with to destroy you. That is the first element of warfare. Study your enemy. Know your enemy. Know his strengths. Know his weaknesses. Know what to attack. Well, guess what Satan do? He know what you desire and lust after. So guess what he going to do? He's going to attack your weaknesses. When you go to war with somebody, you don't attack them in their strong point. That's retarded. You're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to win. You sit back and look at it, right? Lennox Lewis, one of my favorite boxers. 6'10", 6'7", 6'8", super long arms. You can't go in Lennox Lewis and try to get inside of him and box him. That's his strength. It's his jab. He's going to punch your face off. He is. He's going to punch your whole face off. Y'all seen what happened to Mike Tyson after he fought him? Mm-hmm. He's a phenomenal fighter. He's a phenomenal. Why? Because Mike tried to come at the man in his strong point. All he did was jab him to death. Mm-hmm. To the point that Mike Tyson looked like a gremlin after that fight. Mm-hmm. Whole face bruised. You know what I'm saying? I put it this way. Better example. And Muhammad Ali said he did this during the fight. He noticed that. With the rope-a-dope. He noticed that George Foreman's greatest strength was his power. He knew that I cannot beat this man standing in the middle of the ring and slugging it out with him. He said he realized in the second round when he was on the ropes, when the man was doing this here, that his weakness was he didn't have the wind to keep fighting. Let me make him punch himself out. And then once he is weak, then I can defeat him. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you weak at, or whatever you desire, that's your weakness, that's what he gonna come for. If you weak for women and that's your lust, that's what you like, that's what he gonna come after. You know what I'm saying? And just because you desire something, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's evil. I want y'all to understand that. It doesn't have to be something that's sin. It doesn't have to be something that's transgression. But if you desire something and you want something badly, then you would be weak for that. And he will attack you at that point, hoping that that weakness is what he can use to topple you. Telling you, man, you don't attack people in their strong points. You only attack them when they're weak. And if you simple or you naive or foolish or open-minded, see, that's how a lot of people get got. When we talk about open-minded, that means you'll sit back. Matter of fact, since I said that, get Ephesians chapter 5 about verse 14. See, when you open-minded, that means you'll sit down and listen to anything. 4 and 14, not 5, but 4 and 14. So you don't want to be open-minded. See, that's what happened with Eve. She was open-minded. Let me hear him out. She was naive. She was simple. Let me hear him out. I don't want to hear it out. I'm going to stand on the faith of the word. I don't want to hear it out. See, that's what certain things like this here, man, I'm going to tell you something, right? You ain't got to, I just told 2 people this within the last week. Just because somebody give you an invitation to a party don't mean you got to accept it. You know what I'm talking about? Just because somebody telling you something don't mean you got to listen to it. Like dude was coming at me with that Lunar Shabbat about a couple weeks ago. I'm telling him, bro, I don't want to hear it. Oh, you scared of the truth? If I'm scared of the truth, bro, this something I done looked at before, bro. I'm straight on that. I don't want to hear that, man. See, people tell you, oh, man, you can't be like that. But that's how niggas end up from going for the word and being Egyptologists. Mm-hmm. That's how niggas go up going for the word and believing in nothing. Because you open-minded. See, when you wise as a serpent, you know, hey, boy, I'm peeping the game. Nigga, I peep what you trying to do. I'm straight, I want to hear that. You got to peep the agenda. Niggas be having agendas. You know what I'm talking about? That's why he say try the spirits whether they be of Elohim or not. Because just because somebody come at you and telling you something don't necessarily mean that they care about you. It don't necessarily mean that they really trying to impart something unto you. They could be using this as a means to try to get off whatever it is that they trying to get off. Especially when you're dealing with the word. Most people got agendas. That's why we looked at that on Wednesday. He said we're not handling the word of Elohim deceitfully or with craftiness. Put that to the side. Cursed be he that do the work of Yah deceitfully. You ought to burn in hell if you're using the word of Yah deceitfully. Mm-hmm. That's not what type of time is that? You know what I'm saying? Now we'll sit back and look at it, man. You can't always be open-minded. Because he said he gives subtility to the simple. So that means those that are wise are trying to give craftiness or wisdom to those that don't know. Because I'm going to tell you something, man. I don't want nobody to sit back and look at it because literally, if you go look it up yourself, the word pita literally means simplicity, naivety, simple, foolish, open-minded. I'm not just saying that just to be saying it. That's literally what it said the word means. You know what I'm saying? And guess what happens? For everybody, when they came to this word, all of us were foolish at one time. All of us were simple at one time. All of us were naive at one time. And all of us was open-minded at one time. Do you know how we know this? Because all of us have listened to some manner of false doctrine at one time or another. So there's not a single solitary person, myself included, that is exempt from that. Mm-hmm. Nobody. I'm talking about, and it doesn't matter if you knew you were the seed of Yasharal before it happened or after. Because you could have got it in the Christian church or whatever. It doesn't matter. The whole key thing was it was come to give you subtility so you would no longer be naive and simple and foolish and open-minded. Mm-hmm. 4 and 14 of Ephesians. That we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But speaking the truth in love, may we grow up unto him in all things, which is the head, even Mashiach, for whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. So those that are of Mashiach, guess what? If I want to give subtility to the simple, then that means I would have to open my mouth with a word to destroy the serpent, that your mind might be closed, that you might work. Not closed to the word, but closed to the world. Like Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, we in the world, but not abusing it. Because see, I'm going to tell y'all something, like what a lot of Hebrew niggas try to make it seem like, that you can't do nothing. See, you can be in the world and get money, as long as you don't use it to abuse it. You can be in the world and do a lot of things. You can be in the world and rap. You can be in the world and act. You can be in the world and be a model. You can be in the world and be a fitness professional. But you're not going to use the world and abuse it and commit sin in the process of doing so. You know what I'm talking about? Because these brothers will make you think, boy, once you find out about the word, that anything you like to do, you can't do it no more. Like we were talking to Lil Stanley. Lil Stanley can still DJ. He just can't DJ as he did before. He can still do it. It's just a different way of doing things. Some, guess what? I know a brother, he said he wanted to be an actor. He was like, you can still be an actor. Man, it's not, y'all can do whatever it is that you want to do in this life as long as it don't cause you to go against the word. You can do it. You're not precluded from doing things because you are in the word. You're going to sit back, you're going to be, I'll get to you this way. A dude called me and Glover, right? He wanted us to help him do a job, right? Now this nigga know we don't work on no Friday nights and no Saturdays. This nigga know this. And the fact that he would have the utter mitigated gall and audacity to even inquire. I'm talking about even inquire. Matter of fact, screw inquire. The fact that the thought even ran across your simplistic peanut brain, that you would even dare ask, you know, I need y'all Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Nigga, what? What? Now, Glover told me, when he tell him that, he said, nigga, like, well, there's some people out here don't care nothing about religion. Glover like, shoot, that's why they going to hell. I care. You know what I'm saying? Now, he ain't come at me in the same fashion, but I'm like, check this out, man. Nigga, I ain't going to hell for no money. Ain't nothing gonna go to hell for no money. I mean, I respect y'all religion. No, you don't, nigga, because you can't. See, I didn't know he came at Glover boldly. Nigga, you just tried the back door to ask me, so go clean the floor versus I got to preach the word tonight. Which one you think gonna win, nigga? Like, is you on crack, nigga? You been drinking? It's past the 3rd hour of the day, so I wager you was. You know what I'm saying? See, that would be abusing the world, cause I want something out of the world. Like, there would even be no way I could have been able to work that. Ain't bro was supposed to be preaching tonight? So what I'm gonna be doing? Sitting out there preaching, pushing the broom? Be like, hold on, bro. Hold on, you missed the spot. What you say? I said something about Lot. Come on, man.
Trying to use a parable about sweeping the floor.
But you know what I'm saying? But see, key thing is though, he think because we trying to do a business and we talk about them numbers got to be right, that he think that he can throw some money out there and we will run. I'm not weak for that, sir. Think I've been poor almost all my life. And on top of that here, man, I'm going to tell y'all something that's real, man. You can't miss what you never had. If somebody came and said, I remember I used to have smokers be like, man, I ain't get they call. And I'd be like, man, I had $500 for you, man. You missed it. I ain't miss it because I ain't have it. Like, I ain't never catch it. I ain't never see it, so I ain't miss it. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to have to sit back and have that in your brain. You can't miss what you ain't never have. The only time you actually miss something is if you had it. You know what I'm saying? You had $500 and you lost it. I bet you missed it then. Dang, boy, I had $1,000, now I only got $500. I lose $500. You know what I'm saying? You miss it then, but if I ain't never had it, you can't miss it. So when we sit back and look at the things in the world that we giving up, if you never had it, you can't miss it. You're not actually missing anything. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff, man. People don't want to give nothing up. That's why he say deceiving them with fair speeches and words of the simple. I mean, deceive the words of the simple. That's why we got to give you subtlety so you can be able to peep the game. You know what I'm saying? I know some people was saying to me, like, they asking me a question, they were like, well, I don't know if you saying this just to make yourself look right. I could give you that. I ain't getting nothing up out of that. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, now I ain't going to say it like that because the individual actually care about it. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, I don't care if you believe what I'm saying is right or not. I don't really care if you think I'm saying this to make myself look right or not. Because I know why I'm saying it. So inwardly, I really don't care. I don't roll that way. But I also, at the same time, I understand where they coming from. You know what I'm saying? I ain't discrediting where they coming from, but I know how I'm looking at it. That's not my style. I don't really care. You ask me a question, I'm answering. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to answer it to make it seem like, okay, he's right. Not going to do that. Then I'll have to go to hell then. You know what I'm saying? Because then I know that I'm using the word deceitfully. I'm purposely using the word to deceive somebody. If you don't deceive somebody, just use your own words. You know what I'm talking about? Don't try to use your word to do it. See, I wasn't in the church, but I seen them Christian people do that. I didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't use the word as a means to deceive people to get what I want out of them or to get a particular view of myself in their eyesight. It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Some things are just not worth it. So my whole objective is to give you the wisdom to be able to have that craftiness to be able to know. See, let's sit back and look at something in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, something that Paul said. Where people sit back and they look at it and they say Paul is a liar. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I gotta remember what he said. It might be Romans chapter 4 or chapter 3. I gotta remember where it was he said that. No, it's in Corinthians. It's in my head what he said, but I can't remember where it's at. It's right here in my head what he said. I can't remember where it's at. You know, one of these epistle letters, and one of you brothers can help me out. Paul sat back and mentioned, he said, I caught you with guile. Or I caught you with some craftiness. So people would turn around and they would say, see, Paul is a liar. You know what I'm saying? But what he was doing is he used a manner of subtility or craftiness or a little manner of skill to get them to hear the word. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't going to tell you no lie. I know she might get upset with me if I mention it. But I did that to T the first time I ever spoke to her. You know what I'm saying? That I used a little bit of guile or craftiness to catch her with the word. Because she was calling me about working out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When I had the whole intention on hitting her with the word. And I was using the conversation of training as a means to work in the word. You know what I'm saying? Use a little bit of craftiness to catch her with the word because that was my intent from the jump street. Mm-hmm. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. I was right the first time. Or close to right. About 12 and 12. You know, Lil Muffin done seen me do that a couple times. I sit back, boy, say, you think I'm coming with this here? Boy, I'm coming to hit you with the word. He say, truly the signs of the apostle were wrought among you in all patience and signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein you were inferior to other synagogues, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong. Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. See, Paul was sitting back looking at, so sometimes because I was asked about this, because, you know, Paul mentioned sometimes where people did stuff for him. He said he wasn't asking it out of want, but out of necessity or need. Because Paul was down bad. You know what I'm talking about? See, y'all don't realize it. Did you know that? How many of y'all on this phone know that Paul was really down bad? Like, he was doing bad. Like, this man sitting back looking at, I don't know where I'm going to sleep at night. I don't have no certain dwelling place. I don't know where I'm going to eat at. And he would sit back there and look at it. These synagogues, these assemblies, these congregations had care for him, and they were ministering to him the things that he needed. Not that he wanted to come up off of them. That's why he say, I've been burdensome. Y'all been taking care of me. He said, he's sitting back looking at the parents supposed to lay up for the child, not the child for the parent. He said, when I come back the third time, y'all not going to be responsible for me. I'm going to have something for y'all. He said, I will very gladly spend and be spent for you. Though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. Y'all don't sit back and realize the more abundantly Mashiach loved us, the less he would love. That man got ready to lay his life down for you. They say, boy, the more he showed his love and desire towards you, the less you loved him. And sometimes that's how we do as a people. The more somebody tried to love you, the less you love them back in return. And you end up cleaving to people who don't even care nothing about you. You know, black people good for that. You know what I'm saying? And you know where that come from? Just what they said, trying to give subtlety to the simple. Because the open-minded, the naive, the simple, and the foolish, they love those that don't love them and hate those that love them. They'll have more suspicion to the people who love them than the people who actually don't love them. This is my experience in my lifetime when we talking about what we talking about with the word, with the pente, the simplicity, the simple, the naive, the open-minded. They always look at those who love them are their enemies, and those who are their enemies actually love them, and they end up cleaving to the wrong people. He say, but be it so. I did not burden you, nevertheless being crafty, I caught you with guile. Did I make gain of you by any of them whom I sent unto you? You know what I mean to make gain? Did I come up off of you? Paul said, I caught you with guile. I caught you with craftiness. You can even sit back and look at Mashiach ain't have no guile in his mouth, but yet he caught people with craftiness. All craftiness is just a little bit of skill. See, you got to know how the adversary move and how he got to work. Anybody who move with the word got to have some finesse and some skill to be able to throw that hook out there. Mm-hmm. Fishermen's got skill and finesse to be able to catch fish. Yep. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to have that. But then also he was trying, that's why he told us be wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. You got to have a brain to know how to be able to catch this man. The only way you're going to be able to do that, the spoken open word got to come to you. Romans 10:16. See, when you no longer are simple, then you're going to be able to actually see people, and you're going to see them for who they are. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to see them for who they are. You're going to see all their advantages, all their devices, all the things they said. Because, I was talking to Will about something, and, he had made mention that, I wasn't going to come out and say a particular thing. You know what I'm saying? No, on a particular matter. Some people have their opinions. I let them have this certain thing that I ain't going to say. Some stuff you just gonna see. Sometimes you have to sit back and have that patience just to sit back and just wait. Y'all prove it all out. In the end, you know what I'm saying? And he that'll be justified to be justified, and he that'll be condemned to be condemned. He that need to be chastised will be chastised, and he that need to be corrected will be corrected. He said, but they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Yeshayahu saith Yahuwah, who have believed our report. So then faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word of Elohim. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly, their sound went out into all the earth, and their words unto the end of the world. So to sit back and be able to give subtlety to the simple, you know what's going to have to happen? They're going to be able to have to hear the word. You're going to be able to have to hear the word. Then we already read in Romans 16, he's saying shortly, he will bruise Satan under your feet. This way we could be able to twist him and destroy him. How are we going to be able to do it? Mashiach say soon, I'll be able to die, and then he shall be trampled under your feet, right? I want you to look at something in Romans chapter 6 real fast. See, this is how you're going to be able to, after hearing the word, then something should come on, be able to do this to make you wiser so you won't be ignorant of his devices. You will know the word. You will know your adversary. Get your Ephesians chapter 5 and 21, go along right after this. I just want you to look at Romans 6 and 8. Make it 6 and 6. This is how you're going to be able to surround and destroy your adversary after that word has been spoken. And then after that, that arm can allow to be able to work. Get you Galatians 2 and 17. Now we're going to fill a little time in the epistle letter with this one here. He said, knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed. Henceforth, we should not serve sin. Remember, we read on Wednesday, he said, what? The prince of this world is judged, right? Mm-hmm. So if the prince of this world is judged, then guess what that means? Satan has been destroyed, because he came to destroy him who had power over death. That is the devil. He said, he that commits sin is of the devil. For this purpose, the Son of Elohim was manifested to destroy the works of the devil. So in order to be able to destroy the works of the devil, then the word has to be spoken. And then after the word is spoken, it has to be caused for the hearer to understand the reading, to understand the parable, to understand the similitude. Once this has occurred and that person has believed and now they're just and they live by that faith, then guess what happens? Satan is destroyed. You know why he's destroyed? Because the body of sin is destroyed. Because that's all Satan has power over. So if you want to destroy Satan, you know what you're going to have to do? Destroy your own will, destroy your lust, and destroy your desire to this world, and he has no power. The word can do that. That's why he say our warfare is not carnal, but spiritual, to pulling down a stronghold. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but again, we wrestle against spiritual wickedness. Spiritual wickedness. Who else is coming working spiritual wickedness but Hashatan? His desire is to destroy the covenant of eternal life. His desire is to stop you from being a partaker of the covenant. His desire is to turn you from the word. So guess what my job is to do? To give you give subtility to the naive, to the foolish, to the simple, to give you that same craft and wisdom and skill to see him coming. Like 8 Ball used to spit in a song we used to bump back in the day. He said, niggas game shooting. You know what I'm saying? He say niggas game shooting, saying stuff every day. He say, man, if I was lame, I wouldn't see it from a mile away. Because basically, if you naive, simple, open-minded, or the petite, you lame. You know what I'm saying? You green. When we saying green, that means inexperienced. That's all that is. You just inexperienced. See, green got 2 different meanings. Green meaning you just a buster, you a lame, and you a sucker. But in the real world, because white people even use this word, green just means inexperienced.
Like a soldier with no skill on the battlefield.
No skill on the battlefield, they're going to say he green. That's why we were looking at that coat a couple weeks ago. That's to give you skill on the battlefield. So you won't be green, you'll know how to fight. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's what all that is. And that's who Satan is going to come after, the lame, the unknowing. That's what he's going to come after. And he's going to try to exploit you on that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm supposed to be able to give you the subtlety to peeping. It's no different. When in the street, I ain't no killer. I ain't no con man. But I had niggas I grew up with that schooled me to be able to peep game. So then because I could peep game, I got just as much craftiness and subtlety as you got. I just don't do the stuff that you do. Man, you know, I done been in the street and let people think they getting over on me because it's certain once you do this, I know I ain't got to fool with you no more. You know what I'm saying? You got some people who people run game on them and they ain't know they done got game wrong. Everybody done had somebody run game on them sometime and they like, y'all know the song, everybody done played the fool. It's no exception to the rule. Yep. Everybody done it. But then there's times where you let the nigga think you a fool. Because it's something I'm setting you up for. You know what I'm talking about? I don't necessarily mean I'm finna do something to you, but I'm peeping the game. And like we were just mentioning, most people that are naive and open-minded and simple and foolish will think that the people who actually care about them are the ones who run a game on them, and then other people who they think care about them who actually don't care about them, they the ones doing it. You know what I'm saying? I be looking for game all day long, because boy, as the old saying goes, we have to say, let me use what word, you can't defecate a defecator. You understand what I'm telling you? Y'all understand what I'm telling you? Y'all know what is actually the actual saying is. You know what I'm saying? But you can't defecate a defecator. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying though, y'all know the saying though? We can't talk like that no more.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But you can't defecate no defecator, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, you can't do it. That don't mean just because I'm a defecator don't mean I defecate on people. You know what I'm saying? But I know the game though. See, you can sit back and you can know the game, and it's what you allow people to do or what you willing to tolerate. You know what I'm saying? I done dealt with women who were whores, and it was just certain things I would be willing to tolerate. And then there would be certain things I wouldn't be willing to tolerate. One thing that I knew was I could never actually marry this woman. You could try to convince yourself that you could do certain things, but you know deep down inside, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. It'll be time this nigga, I remember this nigga come to me one time crying, talking about I done lost my plane ticket, I ain't got no money. I looked at this nigga with these crocodile tears. I'm like, why this nigga doing all this? And nigga, if you wanted $300-400, nigga, you just could have asked. I'd have gave it to you on the strap. Might have gave you a rack. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, you looked out for me at particular times. I don't care nothing about that, huh? Don't about your business, nigga. You trying to run game. You can't do that. You can't defecate on me. Nigga, I know the game. Nigga, I know you for 5 years. I know every trick you pull. I've seen you do it. I've seen you get on the phone and fake joy and excitement with a grown man to send you plane tickets to come see him, but you turned around and cashed and kept the money. I've watched you do this. On different men. Man, I had a girl I used to mess with back in the day, man. I sat back and watched this woman get a gift from a nigga on Valentine's Day and turn right round and give it to me. I said, well, you is a dirty nigga. And you think that I could ever trust you to like be with you in that type of capacity? And I just sat back and watched you do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what this was? She was working at McDonald's, I was working at KFC. So I was like 18 years old, 19 years old. I had known her since, shoot, I didn't even know it at the time. She was 14 when when nigga first met her. I didn't even know she was that young at the time. You know what I'm saying? It seemed real weird. I ain't really figured that out till after I got out of prison and I seen it. And I'm like, yeah, man. I sat back and thought, like, nigga, you was 14. She was like, yeah. I'm like, that nigga didn't even know that. Like, nigga was going to jail forever messing with you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm 17, you 14. But she didn't carry herself like she was 14, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you in high school, you ain't asking niggas for age. Mm-hmm. Let me see no ID. You know, you got some niggas who dumb, be 16 years old in the 9th grade. Boy, I knew a nigga who was 21 years old in 12th grade. Boy, they told that nigga, boy, you was a super senior. This your last year, and he, boy, you don't pass this year, you can't come back. That nigga failed the 12th grade 3 times. I wish I was lying, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? That's what they call him, literally. They call him a super senior. I can't remember his name. I can see his face right now, though. Do you know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to peep the game. Because people be running, you know, I'll put it this way, man. People be running so much game that you expect people to run game. And you be shocked when people don't do it. And then when you dealing with the word, most of y'all coming up out the Christian church, so you sat back and watched people run game on the regular. That's why I say when the individual said to me, well, maybe you saying these verses to make yourself look right, I know that they might have been thinking about Christian pastors and other wicked men that they done seen who have done that. So I can understand where they coming from. I wasn't even offended by it, but I just know inwardly, I don't care if you think I'm doing that or not. Do that for what? I have no need nor a desire to persuade somebody to keep them around for whatever reason to do that. It ain't that serious for me. Not for me. I can't speak for other people. But always remember that, though, man. You can't defecate a defecator. Why you think they couldn't get over on a Mashiach? A Mashiach can't do no evil, but you can't defecate on me, boy. I'm the king of defecators. I know all game. I created all things. You don't think you know all game?
Yeah, turn you into dumb.
Straight up. I can turn you into dumb. I can turn you into dumb. And you don't think I know game when I say, why do you think he told them to be wise as serpents? You got to be hip to the game. You think he didn't teach them all the moves of the adversary?
Yes, sir.
Why you say you are of your father the devil and lust of your father ye will do? Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot hear my word. Because he that is of Elohim hears Elohim's word. You hear him not because you are not of Elohim. That's why the wicked men will come with fair speeches and great words to deceive the hearts of the naive. Nigga come stroking your ego? Well, you already know nigga sour when nigga come stroking your ego. Because that's what fair word, beautiful word. Word make it, you know, you're so great, you're so beautiful, you're so this, brother. You know what, sister, you's a one fine specimen. You look like you'll make a great wife. All that type of stuff, trying to play up under you. You know what I'm saying? I told you, man, when I met your homeboy, that nigga came to me, boy, you serious? I said, boy, that nigga, that's sour. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing click in my mind because I don't know you. And all I did was reference one verse, and you coming with all these accolades, and you animated with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like this here. I watch that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because that don't make me feel, see, my sister knows this. A lot of y'all may not know this. I do not look for, what's the word I'm looking for? Praise and acknowledgement and accolades. That stuff makes me uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Even in the past, you know what I'm saying? Women I was dealing with be like, you know, you fine or you this. And, you know, I appreciated it, but it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the same way I was.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make me uncomfortable as if I don't want to hear it or I don't appreciate it. I'm just not one that looks for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So when people come to me about the word and they be like, boy, you nice with it, boy. Boy, you this, you that. You know, they appreciate it, you know, whatever the case may be. But it makes me uncomfortable because I don't do it for that. So I don't really care to hear that. It's cool to hear it. They appreciate it. I mean, you know, people appreciate what you're doing. And you know what I'm saying? And that's outstanding. That's very humbling. At the same time, though, depending on who it is and how they say it, man, I ain't going for that, man. Watch you, man. Because I know niggas will play up under you. That's the number one way people play up under you is tell you how great you are. Tell you how nice you are. Tell you how beautiful you are. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not talking about this as in every instance. But that's how usually people going to try to play up under you is with compliments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why when Judas came to get Mashiach, what did he come to do? Hell, master. See, he already know. He that come to portray me with a quick kiss because I'm wise as a serpent. See, I already know the game. Nigga, you coming with the hell master and the kiss. Nigga, you want to kill me, nigga. I ain't going for that, nigga. I already know what time it is. See, he already knew what the scribes and Pharisees, they hated him. They knew that they were prideful and they were lustful and they were covetous. So he knew that certain way that they would come at him because I know the game, so I'm not going to be trapped up with you. Or they would try to catch him in his words. See, I already know what you're coming to do because I know the game. That's why he want us to know the game. So when you know the game, you won't be able to get God. See, that's one of the things I always try to do. Like with any woman that I deal with, I want to try to put her up on game. Because I want to be able to, for her to be able to peep game. I want her to be as sharp as I am. I want her to be as aware as I am. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want her to get caught up with nothing. Even dudes that I'm with, I don't want you to get caught up in nothing. Whatever I know, whatever I can impart unto you, I'm going to give it to you. I ain't going to hold nothing back. See, we got to be wise to the game. You got to know your enemy. Let me finish this out. Verse 8 of Romans 6. Now, if we be dead with Mashiach, we believe also that we shall live with him. Knowing that Mashiach being raised from the dead dieth no more, death have no more dominion over him. For in that he died under sin once, but in that he lived under Elohim. Likewise, reckon yourself, ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Elohim through Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach our master. So to be alive unto Mashiach and dead unto sin, that word has to come around to twist and to surround and to consume the adversary. This is what has to happen. When you are immersed into the death of Mashiach, you have died with him. Therefore, sin is crucified with him. It dies with him, which means the adversary is destroyed. Remember, that's 1 John 3 and 8 that I'm referencing. He that commits sin is of the devil. For this purpose, the Son of Elohim was manifested to destroy the works of the devil. So in order to surround and to destroy the works of the devil, then the word's got to be spoken. Meaning that the word is spoken, Yahushua HaMashiach is preached. And wherever Yahushua HaMashiach is preached, then faith ought to be increased. And if faith is increased, then behavior changes. And men die to the flesh and live the Elohim through the Ruach. Therefore, Satan is destroyed. And you would no longer be simple and naive because you would know his devices. Ephesians 5 and 21. Let's just look at some of his devices. Let's just look at some of the stuff he do. This is how you be able to peep him and know when he come and know how to move. Make it 5 and 18. 17 even better. 5 and 17. Ooh, I'm sweating like I'm lifting weight. And I don't even sweat when I lift weight. Ephesians 5 and 17. Make it 16 even better. This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you walk in the Ruach of Elohim, then your flesh will not be fulfilled because it will be destroyed. All you got to do at is the person that we've been referencing. I know I said we were going to look at Daniel and his understanding of visions, but we didn't get around there, so don't worry about that. When we look at Joseph, Joseph had the opportunity to walk in the lust of the flesh, didn't he? He could have easily slept with that woman. But he chose to walk in the Ruach and not fulfill the lust of the flesh by not committing adultery with that woman. He refrained himself. You know what I'm saying? He refrained himself. Huh? Indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one thing you sit back and look at. That's what Paul was talking about. Did I make gain of you? You know what I'm saying? When you look at somebody like some people like, well, we paid tithes or we gave them this. But then you sit back and look at it. What gain did they really get? Because that's what Paul's talking about. Mm-hmm. Y'all done gave me this and y'all done did this for me because I was in need. And I said, I've been burdensome unto you. He said, but when I come back, I won't be. I'll give you this an example of this here, just for myself personally. Now, you know, like some of y'all done shot tithes before. I ain't never really stressed you about it. If you did it, you did it. If you didn't, you didn't. Now I'm going to say you how to sit back and look how the Most High works. Because the whole time period when he brought people in to have that do that, there were a lot, Lil Muffin, no, there were a lot of doors shut that we were trying to open. Were they not? And then he basically had y'all where I was ended up to a certain extent being burdensome under y'all, but that wasn't my desire to take nothing from y'all. How many times y'all done heard me say like, boy, I'm trying to start something up to do this here to where I'll pay for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have y'all pay for no building or pay for this or pay for that or pay for this or pay for that. I'm going to pay for it. And now praise Yah for Yahushua HaMashiach. Now look how it done switched. Ain't nobody offering nothing, but now the doors in some areas that were shut are beginning to open to where we're going to be able to earn to do the exact things that I told you that I would go do. To where now, where the times past where I might have been burdensome unto you, now the third time when you come, I will not be burdensome unto you. Because now you wouldn't have been laying up for me, but now I'll be laying up for the children, and there'll be no need for you to do anything that now when, okay, I may have a salary from preaching, probably ain't gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? Just put that in the pot with everything else. And then that everything is just for the family and all that type of stuff because I be paying for everything, which was my desire from the jump street. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to sit back and be like, boy, you know, I need $40, $50 for this right here. Because who wants to do that? I'm a grown man. When I say grown man, I ain't talking about my age, meaning I'm a man. I don't want to ask nobody for nothing. Yeah. If I ask you for something, that means I really needed it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't the type of this here, man. It's somebody I follow on Instagram, but I was raised like that. I put it to how Pac say, man. He said, I want to make it on my own, not a handout. The dude Instagram page is called Hustle Over Handout. Nobody don't want to stick their hand out and be like this here. Not no man of respect. Mm-hmm. Can you give me this? Can you give me that? Boy, if I ask a nigga for some help, boy, did you know that it probably took me days or hours to even come ask for it? Because I really didn't want to do it. Not because out of pride, because, man, who wants to do that? You know what I'm saying? Only a bum is happy with asking a nigga for something and regularly doing it and don't feel nothing about itself about it. Now, especially not if you somebody who's always took care of themselves or did for themselves, then you don't want nobody to do nothing for you. And when you put in a position where you got to be in that position, that's very humbling. You know what I'm talking about? Because you way down here. And you got to ask somebody for help. But I say that to say this here, that none of us should be to the point where we feel like we shouldn't ask each other for help. I know everybody got their own stuff going on, everybody got their own issues, bills, and all that type of stuff, but we should never feel like we couldn't come to each other and ask for help. We shouldn't be comfortable with asking for sinners and outsiders for help before we ask each other for help. You know what that means when you feel like you can't ask each other for help? That means you feel like the people that you say you serve and minister and fellowship with y'all with actually don't love you and actually don't care about you and actually don't care about what you got going on. That's why you feel like you couldn't ask them for help or go to them with an issue, that you would go to a transgressor. That's just something to think about, right? Yeah. I mean, shoot. I mean, word or no word. That's my nigga. How my nigga gonna look me in the face and say, bro, I'm hungry? Well, shoot, nigga, go in there and get you something to eat then. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? That's word or no word. That's my nigga. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? Even though the dynamic in this particular situation done changed. Boy, my nigga say, boy, I'm broke. What? Man, the first thing come in my mind, gotta get him some money. Can't tell me that. Nigga, I ain't even got that much money. But they can't tell me that. They can't tell me that. What you mean? Gotta figure something out. I don't know how I'm gonna get it. I don't know where it's gonna come from. Get it from somewhere. It may not be much, but it's gonna be something. You can't tell me that. Not that one. You can't tell me that. Under no circumstance. Because I'm gonna try to do something about that. Inherently, it's instinctive. And that's word or no word. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. Like, it's been situations, some people done asked me, I ain't even have it to give. It didn't matter. That's my people. What do you mean? What do you mean? That's how we supposed to look at each other. What do you mean? You gonna get it back from y'all one way or another. That man said, if you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. We don't even think like that. He said, when I was hungry, you fed me. He said, Master, when did you see me? When did we see you when you were hungry? He said, when I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. He said, when I was naked, you clothed me. He said, when I was locked up, you visited me. They say, when did we do that? When you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. That's how you supposed to look at it. You're not doing that for that person. You're doing that for, you're supposed to look at your brother and sister and see Mashiach. How you don't see the master when you look at somebody, you say, this is my brother, this is my sister. How you don't see your Savior then? The only way you don't see your Savior because you don't see him in you. You're supposed to see him. Don't y'all realize he said, man, we made in his image and in his likeness. He said there's no female, there's no male, there's no bond, there's no free, there's no Yahudim, there's no Greek in Yahushua HaMashiach. You're supposed to look in the mirror and see your king. I'm talking about every y'all, male or female, you're supposed to see him. When you look in the mirror, you're supposed to have that pride and honor about yourself that you see the King of Kings, Master of Masters, who laid his life down for you. You're supposed to see him. When you see him in you, guess what? It's going to manifest on the outside. Because you're going to lay him up inwardly. And it's going to manifest to everybody that you deal with. Man, you might have some issues you got to work, man. Everybody going to have something they got to grow and work through. It doesn't make no difference. I ain't even talking about nothing that's sin-wise. Just because you in the word don't mean everything going to be perfect. It's for with certain things you're going to grow. You got to continue to grow and mature. I'm talking about as male and female. You know what I'm saying? That stuff don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? That stuff don't mean nothing, man. You supposed to sit back and look at that stuff, man. It's about growing and maturing out of it. Growing together, walking together, loving each other and pushing each other to be the best person you can be. Don't you realize, man, if you're dealing with people that want you to to be better than what you are, that these people love you? Sit back and look at the people surrounding you. How many of them are pushing you to be great? How many of them are pushing you to do great things? How many of them even believe you can do great things? How many even tell you that you're great and that you're capable of doing great things? How many people value you as an individual? You know what I'm saying? How many people can see things, the powerful and good qualities and successful qualities that you possess in yourself that you can't even see? And they telling you about yourself and telling you what they see in you. These people who love and care about you. You know what I'm saying? We don't see it. We don't look at it like that though. Because we've been trained to look at the wrong things. Verse 18. We done went off. I ain't even got nowhere close to none of the stuff I wanted to hit on there. I hope so. I ain't hope we ain't drift off too far, did we?
No, sir.
Well, 5, what we at? 5 and 17. He said, for the flesh lusts against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh. These things are contrary one to the other, so you cannot do the things that you would. But if you be led of the Ruach, you are not under the law. Well, if you be led of this man Ruach, you be led of this man word, man, death is not over you. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are the adultery, So this is to sit back and look at, to give subtlety to the simple. You got to be able to peep when somebody coming at you trying to convince you to commit adultery, whether it be physical or spiritual. Fornication. You already sit back and look at there, man. You know, I know some people sit back and look at the situation that I was in, but one thing that I wasn't going to do is I wasn't going to have sex with this woman. That I wasn't going to do. That wasn't going to happen. Like it never came up. Like there was never nothing that came up and say, let's try this or let's try that. Not one. It wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen. You know, I done been around dudes that use the word to justify trying to fornicate with a woman. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call no name, but I know it's, and they ain't got to say nothing openly, but I know it's some brothers on here can tell you, they done did it. They done did it. Use the word to justify to have sex with a woman. You know what I'm saying? You women supposed to be wise enough to know, ain't no scripture, ain't nothing a nigga could say that could convince you to have sex with him. And you not married to him. You know what I'm saying? How could a nigga even, you just sit back and look at, if he could come up with, that he could try to even come up with an idea of sliding his penis in you. Boy, Elohim can't be in him. That would make you wise enough to know the devices that he would try to use. Look what he say now, right? Uncleanness and lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, sedations, heresy. You know what a sedation is? Sedation is rebellion. You know what I'm talking about? So when you see somebody coming, if you got the subtlety because we done caused you to, you know, Yahushua ain't gonna cause you to rebel because rebellion gonna make you a witch. You know what I'm talking about? So you know he ain't coming with that. You know somebody, he said witchcraft, right? So you know ain't nobody coming, somebody coming with divination and zodiac signs and all that. Man, miss me with that, man. You gonna know this because you know the law say, no observing of times, no enchanters, no wizards, no necromancers. You understand what I'm telling you? Then you're going to turn around and look at, he talking about hatred. You got hatred in your heart for your brother. That man said if you hate your brother without cause, you a murderer. He say variance. You know what variance is? That's dissimulation. You know what I'm saying? That's dissimulation. That means that's somebody coming to cause a schism. That's somebody causing to break something up. That's not of Yah. No, I was talking to somebody about that, and I talked to y'all about that Wednesday. You know what I'm talking about? What I had told somebody, I had already peeped that. Boy, forces at work that's trying to separate us. When you look at somebody come and try to come in, like we were talking about Wednesday, Yah don't cause separation. He brings together. So if somebody's trying to cause separation, that's not a work of Yah. That's a work of the flesh. That's carnal. You know what I'm talking about? Carnal-minded people are going to try to break something up. Spiritual-minded people are going to try to bring things together. They're not going to try to separate. That's not what happens. When you like emulations, that just means mimicking and copying. And you got wrath and strife. Heresies is false doctrine. So when we look at all these things, then we were supposed to be wise enough to be able to keep that when we were naive and simple and foolish and open-minded. Now that the word then came in and filled our mind and we see the works of these behaviors and we could look in the word and see people who did these things because we seen the heresies with the false teachings that the scribes and Pharisees came with. We seen the heresies of the false teachings of the false prophets that are mentioned in Jeremiah 23 and numerous other places out of the book. We see the sedation or rebellion with Korah in Numbers, right? For the 16th chapter of Numbers, we see that rebellion that they were trying to do. We see the strife that they executed. We seen the variance that Korah them did. We even see the variance what the scribes and the Pharisees did by trying to turn the people against Mashiach. See, you got to realize, even though it's not written, you know he sat down and taught his apostles all these things. You know what I'm saying? We seen the emulations where people trying to come in and be like this man, but they weren't this man. You know what I'm saying? You have to sit back and look at that. All the wrath. You walk around here angry with people for no reason. The hatred. You seen that with Joseph's brothers. They had hatred in their heart for the man. The man didn't do nothing. You see the hatred that the Medes and Persians had for Daniel because he was blameless before these people. They said the only way we can get at him is through the law of his Elohim. So when we look at all these things, when we look at the understanding of the dark sayings, this is what gives subtlety to the simple. Now you can be able to peep the wicked and know how to move. Peep those who are moving. And I also want to clarify this clearly. You can also peep those that are operating in the flesh. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. You could be in the word and deal with the word and not be a wicked person and a transgressor and mess around and be walking in the flesh. It can happen. You know why it can happen? Because you are flesh. That's why we looked at what Peter did. He had the Ruach, but yet he got caught in his flesh when he feared the Yahudim and stepped away from eating with the Gentile and caused the dissimulation because he got caught up in his flesh. You understand what I'm telling you? Even though the Ruach of Elohim can be present with you, that does not mean that your flesh is gone. You know what I'm saying? That's why he say if we walk in the Ruach, then we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh, meaning you will not be given over to the desires that the flesh chooses to do. See, Hamashiach stayed in the Ruach. That's why he didn't get given over to the flesh when it was time for him to die. He stayed in the Ruach. So that's why he wasn't under the law. That's why he was able to beat death. He say, hold on, envyings and murders and drunkenness and reviling. You know, revilings is to speak evil of somebody. You know what I'm saying? You know, they reviled the Mashiach. They said a lot of greasy stuff about the man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you sit back and look at that. You know, envious, got no business being envious and jealous of somebody. He say, and such like, of which I tell you before, as I told you in time past, they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. So that means that if we walk in that pattern of behavior on a consistent basis, we're not going to get what we're going after. We're going to have to remove ourselves from that manner of behavior. And he says, but the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Mashiachs have crucified the lusts and affections. So that's what we got to sit back and look at is we want to crucify that flesh. We want to crucify that desire. And that's how you're able to give subtility to the simple, because that's what's going to happen. And then the last thing to say is the clothes to make the arm work. Well, then we know once you're in Mashiach, you're going to begin to work the works of Mashiach. We'll look at 1 John 2 and 5. I got to get ready to stop. It's about 11:15. I ain't even get all the way through it. But it's all good. I don't know why I thought I was going to get through all this. And that's when we look at understanding the visions will give you to know and understand the experience. You can understand the experience of Mashiach. One thing about the book, get your Romans 15 and 1 go along with this here too. One thing about it, that the scriptures were written for our learning. So you could get that experience. You know what I'm saying? You sit back and you can look at it as sometimes, boy, y'all set it up to well, these people went through this, so you don't have to. That says something right there, right? Somebody, he laid something out to well, you don't have to go through this. 1 John 2 and 3, I should say. He said, hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keep not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keep his word, in him truly is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abide in him ought to walk even as he walked. So if we got to sit back and look at it, we got to follow that same pathway now, don't we? Because he knew the craftiness of the wild. You know, he knew their thoughts. He knew the evil that was in their heart. You know, Pac had a song back in the day on All Eyes on Me talking about the hearts of men. And you be like, now I'm going to be honest with you. In actuality, you can't actually know the heart of a man. But you know when you can actually know the heart of a man? When he opens his mouth and then the things that they do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? You sit back and look at it. Now, we ain't sitting back looking at, okay, you can have somebody, okay. You can have somebody, let's say you sit back and, like I was talking to Troy about this the other day. That was Wednesday. A man and a woman you'll never ever be ready to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like there's never going to be a point where you like, I'm ready now. You will never be fully ready to be married. And I'm talking about on both ends, the man and the woman. There will be mistakes made in that relationship on both sides. You know what I'm saying? It could be things done and said That doesn't necessarily mean that the person don't love or care about that person, but it's going to be a mistake. It'll be the same way. Ain't nobody ever going to be ready to be a parent. Mm-hmm. No matter what anybody says. Now, we do got a handbook on walking in the marriage. See, it's different, right? And you even got a handbook to a certain extent with the word on being a parent. But that's certain things that you really not going to really know how to do until you're actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just dead serious, though. Like, you can read all the word you want to read. You know what I'm saying? You can read all the books on parenting and marriage you want to read. But you actually not going to be prepared to be a husband and a wife or a father and a mother and begin to actually perfect that role until you're actually doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can read all the books on being a businessman you want to read. But you're actually not going to perfect the art of business until you're actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? You can read all the words you want to read, but you're not going to perfect the will of Elohim until you're actually doing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's with anything. When you actually go to doing it, and guess what happened? Everybody who's dealing with the word has made mistakes on their journey. Ain't nobody say, boy, I picked this book up and I ain't made no mistake or error nowhere. They lying. I don't care who it is. Ain't a man walking dealing with the word gonna tell you that, yeah, boy, I didn't have to correct nothing. I didn't have to change nothing. I didn't grow up out of something. Ain't nobody gonna be able to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But when you turn around and look at it and sit back and know the subtility of the wicked, you'll be able to tell because it's a different. You know the difference is with evil people? They can do a wrong. And when they say they sorry, it don't bother. If they wrong somebody they care about, it don't really bother them. That's the first telltale sign that somebody don't care nothing about you. That if they know that doing, I'm talking about, I'll give you another example. Because some of y'all might have did it with your parents. If you disappoint your parents and you get upset with yourself because you don't want to continue to upset them, but you steady find yourself doing it. You know what I'm talking about? You can say the reverse end like this. Like some of y'all knew that as a child. You didn't want to do stuff to make your parents mad, but you always seem to find yourself doing something that upset them and that bothered you because you just wanted them to be pleased with you. But you always finding yourself doing something where they were displeased with you. People who don't care about you, they seek to do numerous things. Because Satan don't care about nobody. He come to seek to steal, kill, and destroy. So the first thing Satan come to do, he's trying to take something from you. He's trying to come up off of you. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to take you down, and anything you seeking to do, he's going to destroy it. One of the first things Satan going to tell you what you can't do. Or if you try to do something, tell you can't do it. Satan ain't never going to make you believe that you can accomplish or achieve anything. One of the things Satan like to do, Satan like to put stuff in your head, cause you to think about stuff that you wouldn't even thought about until he brought it to you. I ain't talking about somebody sparking your brain to look at life in a different plane. I'm talking about things that cause your brain to go in a whole bunch of different directions. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that the adversary like to do is, when he come at you, see, remember now, Mashiach said he made things plain. Satan keep things vague. And that's what we read. He said make it plain on the table. Mm-hmm. Satan make things vague. Mashiach make things plain. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. Go left or go right. Ain't going to be no, I don't know which way to do. Or I don't know what to do. Or what do you really mean? He doesn't do that. Straight up and down. Not according to what we read. What is it, man? About 11:20. Man, hold on, man. Matthew 5:17. Y'all willing, we'll pick all this up, man. I know on tomorrow, I know Lil Stanley say he wants to drop a little something, man. We let him do his little thing, man. Let him, he been holding this for a couple weeks. Pablo Creek Branch Regional Library on tomorrow. Think not that I come to destroy the law. All you got to do is shut that thing up here. Yeah. Hold on. I'm listening. He said, think not that I come to destroy the law and the prophets. I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill. For truly I say unto you, till Shamahim and the rats pass, one jot or one tittle shall a no wide pass from the Torah till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of Shamahim. That's one of the things you got to look at too. Like he said, if a man, he not only said if you do something, if you break one of the least commandments, he said if you teach people to do it. You know what I'm saying? He said, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Shamahim. Just like what you read about with Ezra then, didn't you? Mm-hmm. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Shamahin. Now they didn't go into this, right? But you know in Matthew 23, right, the master say that the scribes and Pharisees shut up the kingdom of Shamahin unto men because they're not seeking to enter in themselves. And all you got to do is go back and look at Numbers chapter 13. When the people that went back and they inspected the land, they weren't trying to get in and they were trying to stop the other people from getting in. See, these are the things to understand to give subtility to the simple. Because that's how you sit back and look at it. People who don't want you to get in, who don't want to get in, will set up and say certain things to stop you from getting in. But praise ye y'all for Yahushua HaMashiach. We're going ahead and go for the word, man. Y'all will, man. I get to the rest of the stuff. I ain't even really go through that riddle like I wanted to. And when we sit back and look at, when he talking about